I caught my wife cheating with my best friend after I asked her to comfort him. She said, "I won't deny I have feelings for him, but those feelings aren't as strong as the ones I have for you. You're my soulmate." I need to write this down somewhere because I cannot sleep, I cannot eat, and I cannot get that image out of my head. I am crying as I type this. I just need somewhere to put it. Her name is Lauren. We met in college when we were both 18. She kind of pursued me, and I was glad as hell that she did. We hit it off immediately, spilling "I love yous" within weeks, sharing the kind of secrets you only tell someone when you already know they are going to stay. When her father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in her senior year, I was there through all of it. I spent nights at the hospital so she would not be alone. We got through it together, and that stretch of time built something between us that felt unbreakable. She told me she did not know what she would have done without me. She called me her soulmate. I knew I was going to marry her, and sure enough, I proposed about 2 years after we graduated. Life felt complete. I had married the woman I wanted, landed a good job straight out of school, and had a best friend in Marcus who had been like a brother to me since 3rd grade. Both our families loved us. Everything felt solid. Then about a year ago, Marcus's wife died in a car accident, and it broke him completely. He moved back to our hometown and shut down. He would not engage with anyone. No one could reach him. So I asked Lauren if she could try. She had lost her father, and I thought maybe Marcus could connect with someone who genuinely understood that kind of pain. I know now what a mistake that was. I just did not see it coming. What I had imagined was occasional check-ins, a conversation here and there. What actually happened was that Lauren and Marcus became inseparable almost immediately. They were going on hikes together without inviting me, watching movies at his place, grabbing lunch, doing all the things that couples do, and doing them without me. I want to be honest about something because it matters to understanding how I missed what was happening. Marcus and I had been close since the 3rd grade. I mean genuinely close. He was the brother I never had. I was the best man at his wedding. I helped him move every time he moved. When his wife died, I went to pieces right alongside him because watching him lose her was genuinely painful. That closeness is part of why I missed the signs for so long. My brain would not let me arrive at the conclusion the evidence was pointing toward because it required me to believe that Marcus, someone I had known for over 20 years, was capable of doing this to me specifically. Not to some abstract person. To me. The person who sat beside him in the hospital when his wife was declared. The person who answered the phone every time he called after she was gone. It made the gaslighting easier for both of them. I was already primed to give him the benefit of the doubt. But even with all of that, the discomfort was building. Lauren was on her phone constantly in a way she had not been before. She was becoming distant, less present when we were in the same room. The intimacy between us slowed and then almost stopped. She started coming home late, and when I asked where she had been, the answers were always slightly vague. When I asked to see a message she was sending one evening, just casually, she reacted like I had accused her of something. She called me possessive. I went to Marcus directly. I told him man to man that the situation was making me uncomfortable and asked him honestly if there was anything going on. He looked me in the face and told me I needed to trust my wife. He said I was insulting both of them by asking. He acted like the concern itself was the problem. I remember the look he gave me. I have replayed it many times since. At the time, I read it as hurt. Now I know exactly what it was. I was being gaslit by both of them, and I did not fully understand that yet. Lauren told me on a Friday that she needed to get away for the weekend. She said being around me and my suspicions was exhausting and that she was going to her sister's place to clear her head. She left around 3 in the afternoon. She kissed me on the cheek before she walked out. I remember that detail specifically. I called her sister at 10 that night. She confirmed Lauren was supposed to be coming but had not yet arrived. Her sister's place is 4 hours away. Lauren had left 7 hours earlier. Something told me to drive to Marcus's house. I do not know how to explain that feeling other than to say I already knew before I got there. It was not a suspicion anymore. It was a certainty that I was not ready to name out loud. Her car was parked just down the street from his house. I sat in my car for a few minutes. I hate to admit this, but I cried right there in the driver's seat before I even went inside. I was crying, and I had not even confirmed anything yet. My body already knew what my mind was still trying to negotiate with. Then I got out and walked around to the back. I knew the back door would be open. I had been to that house probably 100 times over 20-something years. I went in quietly. I could hear her. I made my way down the hall toward his bedroom. The door was not fully closed. I looked through the gap. I will not describe what I saw in detail. I do not want to write it, and I do not think I need to. What I will say is that both of them were completely unaware I was there, and that the image I saw in those few seconds has not left me since. I do not think it ever will. I pushed the door open. They both froze. They stared at me. Nobody moved for what felt like a very long time. Then I turned around and walked back out. I could hear them scrambling behind me. Lauren started screaming for me to stop, that she could explain. I did not turn around. I do not know what I would have done if I had. I got in my car. I sat there for a second. Then I drove. I cried the entire drive. Both of them were calling me over and over. I turned the phone face down and kept going until I got to a college friend's place across town. I knocked on his door at midnight. He opened it, looked at my face, and just stepped aside to let me in. He did not ask questions. I will not forget that. I have been here for the past week. I cannot eat. I cannot sleep. I informed my job, and they gave me time off. I have let my family know I am safe, but I have not responded to Lauren or Marcus or anyone connected to them. I am writing this because I needed somewhere to put it. The pain does not feel like it is going to lessen. Every time I close my eyes, the same thing is waiting for me. I want to be gone from this world. I am writing that down because I am trying to be honest, and that is what is in my head right now. I am trying to hold on. I just needed to say it somewhere. Update 1. The responses from people online helped more than I expected. Some shared their own experiences and made me feel less alone in a way I cannot fully articulate. The thoughts of wanting to disappear started to quiet down. Not completely, but enough. I was not responding to Lauren, but her messages kept coming. Most of them I could not bring myself to open. There was one I read and have not been able to stop thinking about since. I am including it here because I genuinely do not know what to do with it, and I want to understand what people make of it. She wrote, "I know you need your space right now, and I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I can't help myself. I feel like I'm going insane. I never meant for any of this to happen. You are the last person I ever wanted to hurt, and knowing the amount of pain and suffering I've caused you is a new kind of hell for me. It hurts, but I know you're hurting more. My relationship with Marcus started out innocent. I never had any intention of it going anywhere near as far as it did. It just happened. I'm not going to lie to you and say this was the first time. We've been together several times, as I'm sure you already know. You always knew. You're a very smart man, and that's one of the many things I adore about you. However, it only turned physical about a week before you found out. Before that, it was emotional. We connected on a deeper level than I intended, and things escalated from there. I know you brought us closer with the best intentions. You are the most caring person I have ever known. I don't even know where to begin describing how sorry I am for what I did. I will never forget the hurt I saw in your eyes. I'm going to live with that guilt for the rest of my life. I do have feelings for Marcus, I won't deny that, but they are nowhere near as strong as what I feel for you. I love you so much. My soulmate, my everything. I know my actions say otherwise, but it's the truth. Please don't question my love for you. That part has always been real. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was the excitement, the taboo of it. As cold as that sounds, I'm trying to be honest. I genuinely don't understand how I could do something like this to you of all people. I am a selfish person. I did something unforgivable, and all I can do is ask for forgiveness. You have every right to hate me. But please understand, this was never about you. It wasn't your fault. Marcus and I took advantage of your kindness. I am so sorry. He is too. Please, Give me a chance to make this right. Please come home. I love you. I read that message probably 8 times over 2 days. I still do not fully know the person who wrote it. The woman I married would not have written that, and yet every word sounded exactly like her. That is the part one cannot reconcile. The phrasing is familiar. The tone is familiar. The way she constructs her sentences is something I have heard 100 times. And none of it changes what I saw through that bedroom door. What I keep getting stuck on is the line about feelings. She admitted she has feelings for Marcus, but insists they are not as strong as what she feels for me. I do not know what to do with that. I have tried to find comfort in it, but I cannot. What I find instead is a deeper question: what it even means to love someone and still be capable of this. I have contacted a lawyer and met with her. She is focused on helping me come out of this as intact as possible. The divorce feels almost certain, but I still love Lauren, and I do not know how to hold both of those things at the same time, the certainty and the love, without one of them destroying the other. Some people shared that it is possible to come back from something like this, that couples have survived worse. I appreciated hearing that more than I can say. But when you are the one inside it, nothing feels black and white. I keep cycling between grief and a kind of rage I do not know what to do with. I cannot predict which one will hit me from 1 hour to the next. Someone pointed something out that has stayed with me. They said Marcus had always cheated on the women in his life, that I knew that, and that I still sent my wife to spend time alone with him. They were not cruel about it, but they were honest, and I have been sitting with that honesty ever since. Not because it changes what they did, it does not, but because I have had to face the ways my own blind spots contributed to the conditions that made this possible. I trusted Marcus because he was my brother. I trusted Lauren because she was my wife. Both of those things felt like enough. They were not. Update 2. I took time away from everything, social media, my phone, most people, to try to think clearly about what I actually wanted. It was harder than I expected. When you have spent most of your adult life with one person, silence does not feel peaceful. It feels like an absence with a very specific shape. When I looked honestly at the marriage, I saw that most of it had been genuinely good. Happy memories filled the majority of it. The years of building something real, the inside jokes, the way she made things feel lighter just by being in the room. That is what made letting go so difficult. I kept searching for a reason to stay, because most of the evidence of who we had been together was telling me to. But when I shifted my focus to the betrayal, the cheating, the gaslighting, the way Lauren would get angry when I questioned her, the way Marcus looked at me when I asked him directly if anything was going on, the only thing I felt was a deep, cold rage that had nowhere to go. The cheating alone was devastating. The fact that it was with Marcus made it something I still do not have a word for. But the gaslighting is what I keep coming back to. They looked me in the face and made me feel like the problem was my suspicion rather than their behavior. Lauren got angry at me. Marcus accused me of not trusting him. They made me feel like I was the unreasonable one. And I backed off. I apologized. That is the part that makes me feel worst about myself. There was a night, about 2 days before I found out, when Lauren came home late. She told me she had been thinking about me the entire drive home. She was affectionate, warm, and for a moment I felt relief, like maybe things were settling down. Now I know where she had come from that night. She came home from being with Marcus and sat next to me on the sofa. She held my hand. I kissed her. When that realization fully settled in, when it moved from suspicion to certainty, something in me went completely still. That was the moment reconciliation stopped feeling like a real option. Not because I stopped loving her. I did not. But because some things, once you fully see them, cannot be unseen. I wanted to go to Marcus's place. I will be honest about that. The urge was real, and it was strong. I had to talk myself down from it more than once. My lawyer was right when she told me not to. There is no justice the system can give for something like this. Not emotionally. What I had was the divorce process, and I needed to protect that. So I went back to work. I kept myself busy. The drinking from the first week slowed down. I was not okay, but I was functioning. And at that point, functioning was enough. Lauren kept sending emails. Most of them said the same things as the message I had already read. Then one day, a physical letter arrived. In it, she talked about her individual counseling and what it had surfaced. She wrote that she had always felt like the less attractive one in our relationship, the one who was lucky to be chosen. Her sister had always been considered prettier, and she had grown up in that shadow. She said that even though I made her feel loved and desired, she still sought validation outside of what we had. She admitted it was not an excuse. She knew how inadequate it sounded. But she wanted to understand herself, to make sure it would never happen again if I ever gave her another chance. I read it. Then I put it down. I did not respond. I started the divorce proceedings. The first obstacle was our joint savings account. I had contributed most of it, but legally it did not matter. It would have to be split. I moved forward anyway and filed the papers. She was served a few weeks later. That same day, she showed up at my new apartment. I do not know how she found it. I opened the door, and we just stood there, looking at each other. Everything came rushing back at once. The image from that night, the grief, the anger, all of it. She looked exhausted, like she had not slept in days. She stepped toward me, trying to hold me. I gently stepped back. That small rejection broke something in her. She became hysterical, asking why I was giving up so easily, why I would not even talk to her. When I tried to leave, she refused. I gave in. I brought her inside and let her talk. She offered everything she could think of. A trial separation where I could see other people. A one-sided open relationship in my favor. Couples counseling. Moving away together. Starting over somewhere new, with no history attached to it. That last one hit differently. We had talked about moving and starting a family not long before all of this happened. Hearing her say it now felt like something breaking all over again. When she was done, I asked the only question that mattered. Why him? She started crying, really crying this time. She said she had felt guilty every single time. That she hadn't known how to stop once it started, that by the time she fully realized what she stood to lose, she was already too deep in it. She told me her counseling had made her realize something important, that this wasn't about me or our marriage. That she probably would have found a way to do something like this eventually, no matter who it was with. The problem was in her. I asked if she loved him. She said no. She promised me she hadn't spoken to him since I left and didn't even know where he was. She said she only loved me. I asked if she had ever cheated before. She swore on her dead father that this was the first and only time. Then I asked if there was anything else she needed to tell me. She hesitated and asked me not to get angry. That's never a good sign. She told me she had found out she was pregnant shortly after I left. She didn't know whose it was. She said she made the decision on her own to terminate the pregnancy because if it turned out to be his, there would be no way back to me. I went completely numb. When I finally managed to speak, I asked how far along she had been. A few weeks, she said. Then I remembered what she had written before, that it had only become physical about a week before I found out. So I asked her how a pregnancy was even possible. She nodded. She had minimized it in the email. The truth was, it had been physical for almost a month. I told her to leave. She begged to stay. I told her I had already accepted a job in another state and would be moving as soon as the divorce was finalized. When she heard that, the pleading got worse, but I had nothing left. I told her to leave or I would call the police. Eventually, she did. I lay on the floor for a long time after she was gone. Update 3. A few days later, my mother called me. Lauren had been hospitalized after a drug overdose and was being transferred to a psychiatric ward. I don't really have words for what that felt like. I was at work when I got the call. I had to step outside and just stand there for a while before I could even respond. Everything I had been feeling, anger, exhaustion, the need to just be done with it, none of it was built for something like that. I went to the hospital that evening. She was asleep when I got there. I sat beside her for about 20 minutes without waking her. She looked small, fragile. The machines were quiet. Everything felt still in a way that didn't feel real. 9 months earlier, We had been planning a life together, talking about starting a family. And now it was this. I couldn't make sense of it. I still can't. When I got back to my car, I started thinking about everything people had been telling me, that I needed therapy, that I wasn't actually coping, just enduring. I had resisted it. It felt unnecessary, like I should be able to handle it on my own. Sitting there, I realized they were right. I wasn't processing anything. I was just surviving. And those are not the same thing. People had told me that none of this was my responsibility, that I had made reasonable decisions with the information I had, that her choices weren't mine to carry. I believed that. I still do. But believing something doesn't mean you're free from it. I still loved her. That was the truth. And it existed alongside everything else in a way that didn't feel clean or simple. What I also knew was that the divorce was still the right decision. Because if I stayed, whatever we had left would collapse under the weight of everything I couldn't forget. I just didn't expect leaving to look like this. Update 4, 8 months later. It's been about 8 months. I'm writing this from the West Coast, where I moved after the divorce was finalized. The divorce itself was quiet. No drama. Just paperwork. 2 people sitting across from each other, dismantling something they once thought would last forever. Afterward, I went home to my new apartment and felt almost nothing. I think I had already felt everything there was to feel months earlier. I started the new job, settled into the new city, and for the first time in a long time, things started to feel manageable. Not good yet, but moving in that direction. Then Lauren's sister called. Lauren had suffered a stroke. She's almost completely immobile on her left side now, and her speech is severely affected. I didn't ask too many questions. I just booked a flight. When I saw her, she didn't look like the person I had spent years with. She looked small, scared, distant from who she used to be. When she saw me, she started crying. I sat beside her, held her hand, and didn't say much. There wasn't much to say. The hallway was different. Some of her family were there, and the hostility was immediate. Her aunt confronted me outright, blaming me for everything. The stress, the divorce, all of it. The rest of them didn't say much, but they didn't need to. They asked me to leave. Said my presence was upsetting her. So I left. And I haven't gone back. I've thought a lot about that call. Someone told me something that stuck, that her family didn't call to inform me. They called to transfer guilt. To make me carry something that wasn't mine. And logically, I know that's true. But there are still days when logic doesn't win. I'm in therapy now. I fought it for a long time. Probably pride, if I'm being honest. That idea that I should be able to get through this on my own. What I've learned is that endurance isn't healing. I was surviving, not recovering. My therapist asked me what I missed most. It wasn't Lauren, exactly. Not even the marriage. It was the version of the world I used to live in. The one where Marcus was someone I trusted without question, and Lauren was someone who would never lie to me. I miss that version of reality. I know I can't go back to it. But I miss it. Right now, I have a job I'm starting to enjoy, a city I'm slowly getting used to, and a therapist who asks me difficult questions once a week. It's not everything, but it's something. And for now, that's enough. I'm going to keep going. The end. So what would you have done? The night he walked in and saw that. What's your move? Do you turn around, walk out, and let silence do the damage? Do you say everything right there in that moment? No filter? Or do you stay quiet, gather everything, and let the consequences hit later? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.